This is going to be a video that's very, I guess, informational. It doesn't have these fancy B-roll slides, so it's going to require some attention and discipline to actually stick with me throughout this. But it's going to explain essentially how I went through a full, complete body transformation, not just physically, but also, I guess, mentally and like hormonally as well. It's some very, I guess, profound stuff I've learned along my journey over the last, 10 years or so of training. And I've pretty much condensed it into this very short, I guess, guide that's going to be understandable, and you can learn what not to do and what to do, and sort of, I guess, fast track your progress to get from A to B. And it is quite simple once you understand the process. So without further ado, let's get right into it. These are essentially going to be the 5 pillars that we're going to cover today. So obviously nutrition being the first thing, then training, how to train, training splits, things like that. Sleep and recovery. This is a very underrated topic that not many people talk about, like optimizing your sleep and how to recover quicker so you can train more. Then we talk about hormones. So hormones are a topic that almost no health coaches, or I guess, mindset people talk about. They sort of just focus on the specifics, like, you can measure this, you can measure that, but not many people touch on hormones and the power that they have in your body, your psychologically and physically. And then last, and probably the most important thing out of all these topics, is mindset, and mastering your mindset and understanding how your mindset is actually going to impact your physique and your transformation going forward. That's the thing that I guess I've put the most effort in myself. So nutrition is the cornerstone of building muscle and losing fat, essentially. So for your protein sources, to keep this short and sweet, I find red meat gave me the best results. So red meat, it contains probably the most full amino acid profile of all the different protein sources out there. It contains creatine and a lot of good things like that. And the steak that I would usually use is either from beef, bison, elk, venison, just any sort of red meat. It's got a decent amount of fat on the meat too. And some people might say, hey, why do I need so much fat? Or why do I want meat with fat? Well, soon later on in this video, you'll understand how fat converts to cholesterol and cholesterol converts to testosterone. And the more testosterone you have, the harder you can train, the more muscle you can build, etc. Eggs are a great source of protein as well, but they have to be pasture raised, generally from an open field. You want the chicken, to actually be eating, natural bugs and insects as it forages around, and not be fed purely off grain. Because a lot of the times they'll mix soy with the grain, and that'll fatten the chickens up to produce bigger eggs, bigger chickens for more flesh, etc. So try for pasture raised only. And my main carb sources, I love to get them from fruits, such as mangoes, bananas, berries, blueberries, raspberries, and strawberries are probably my favorite carb source, as these I can eat as much as I want, and it doesn't make me feel tired at all. It doesn't make me feel lethargic, or like if you have like a big roll or a big bowl of rice or all these potatoes, you eat that and you're kind of stuffed. You're like, ugh, I can't be bothered doing anything. I don't want to get up. I don't want to go and train now. So that's why I tend to stick away from those really heavy, dense carbs like potatoes and grains and things. For fats, and also, dates, oranges, and pomegranate. Pomegranate is very good for pre-workout because of the nitric oxide in there. So nitric oxide is a vasodilator, and it's actually going to get more blood to the muscle. So you're going to get better pumps from the gym, and you're also going to deliver more oxygen to the muscle as well by having pomegranate juice. Or even the whole fruit, if you want to have the whole fruit as well. It's very underrated, pomegranate. For the fat sources, grass-fed butter, avocado, extra virgin olive oil, all these things. Some more, I guess, protein sources: chicken, turkey, fish. Oysters are great, full of zinc for testosterone and muscles. And then I love my raw milk and raw honey. Raw milk, I find I digest so much better. I can't drink the pasteurized and homogenized crap from the store. I get like acne, my back breaks out in acne when I have just the store-bought milk. When I have the raw milk that contains, I guess, the full spectrum of bacteria, that actually helps my gut work through the milk a lot better, and I absorb it way better. And obviously raw honey, it's got good vitamins in there. It's great for you, and it's a good simple carb to energize you before you go train. These are essential to stay away from now. So you've probably heard the term seed oils. These are polyunsaturated fats or fatty acids. These are especially found in oils like vegetable oil, canola oil, rapeseed oil, and they're highly inflammatory to your gut and to your body on a systemic level. So I do stay away from these. I avoid them like the plague. And by doing this, I've also noticed I don't really get sunburn anymore either by not having these seed oils. Because as you sweat, you expel these toxins and stuff out of your skin. And when these seed oils are sitting on the surface of your skin, I found I was getting sunburn. Now I can spend, from my experience, pretty much all day in the sun without sunscreen, and I'm good. And ultra processed foods and refined sugars. So if you're eating like cereals or the back of like a packet of biscuits or something, and you see it's got like 30 ingredients, and you can't even pronounce the name, like soy lectin and emulsifiers and all these things. Like, imagine what that's doing to your body. Food should be whole. Like, food should be single ingredient food, or just basic things like bread, for example. It's got yeast, flour, water, and egg. Just very basic ingredients in food. You don't need 100 ingredients, like hundreds of preservatives and artificial colors and sweeteners to make food. That is not food no more. That becomes like junk to me. So next is the macros. What do you actually eat? So think of it like this. You don't want to, like, going for the next 5. This is like a long journey, right? Training and transforming your physique as a whole. You don't want to track in MyFitnessPal forever, because you're going to get over it. Like, it's good in the beginning. You need to do it initially to get a baseline of where you're at, how much you need to eat. But once you kind of get a gauge of what food portions look like and how you feel after eating a certain amount of food, that's a good idea. That's a good indicator of, okay, now I'm starting to learn and use like intuition, or I'm intuitive with my eating, and you no longer have to track in MyFitnessPal. It's good every so often just to touch up and like, oh yeah, this is good, this is bad. But yeah, the goal of this is to actually make you learn how to eat intuitively. So I always aim for around 2 to 3 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. So, 70 kilo person would eat anywhere between 140 to 210 grams of protein. When you start pushing that up to, the 3 to 400 grams of protein, that starts putting some pressure on your kidneys. It gets too much, and it's ineffective too. It's not going to make you get so much bigger. If you go from 200 to 300 grams of protein, it's not like you're going to stack on all this extra muscle. And I like to have about 1 gram of fat per kilogram of body weight. So again, using a 70 kilo person as an example, I'll have 70 grams of fat. So the reason why fats are important, and we get the fats from the list I just showed you, like from grass-fed butter, steak, eggs, things like that, is because fat essentially, it converts to cholesterol. Then from cholesterol, it goes to another process. I think it's pregnenolone or something or other, and eventually it converts to testosterone. So these guys that are like competing on super low-fat diets, their testosterone is absolutely crashed. They'll have no sex drive, no libido, everything like that will be gone, because fats are essential for hormones, for hormonal balance. And it's sad to see when people, they go on a very calorie restrictive diet and then their hormones are completely whacked. And we'll go into that later, but having busted hormones affects a whole lot of things in your life, not just how you look. And then the rest of your calories should come from, carbohydrate sources for energy, for fuel, essentially, because our bodies are wired to turn, carbohydrates to glycogen to what's it called again? I'll add it in later if I remember the name. It's primary fuel source in the body. What is the name now? Glycogen converts to glucose. That took me a while. But anyway, to work out your base calories, just use an online calculator and input your details. Like, I'll include one in the description of this video. And if you want to be in bulking, I don't believe in bulking and cutting, but if you want to be in a surplus, a very slight surplus to gain muscle, I'd eat, 5 to 10% over the calories of my maintenance. And then as a cut, I'd eat about 10% less than my maintenance to lose body fat. So the next thing is essentially understanding training. So training, so many people overcomplicate this. They say you got to do this movement, isolate this, do that. Keep it as simple as possible. It's not like a science, like it can be scientific if you want to look at it like that, but keep it simple, keep it sustainable so you can keep going back and doing this over and over again. So the most foolproof, easy way to train is simple. Train push, pull, legs, rest, push, pull, legs, or whatever order you want to hit it in, but hit that 3-day split works really well. So this 3-day split allows every muscle group to be hit at least once a week, and lacking muscle groups can be trained twice a week to bring them up to proportions. So say you've got 7 days in the week, you might hit push, pull, legs, rest, then you might hit push, legs. And then what's that? 5, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you you might have a rest day on Sunday. So you might have 2 rest days of the week and train 5 days of the week. That's generally a pretty decent split. For your push days, obviously like chest, shoulders, triceps, every compound movement pushing is going to work those muscles. Pull days, obviously your back, your biceps. Potentially you can fit hamstrings in on this day as well. It can be worked in with lower back. And then leg day is just leg day. Like you got your leg press, quad extensions, calves. You can do squats. Me personally, I don't do squats and I don't do deadlifts. This is because deadlifts, I don't see the reward is not worth the risk. And squats, when I tend to squat heavy, I get like almost fluid buildup on the back of my neck from the bar pressing into my spine. So I haven't done squats for years now, and I've still managed to grow my legs pretty decent using leg press and quad extensions and things like that, even RDLs and split squats. But without further ado, overtraining is something to be aware of, but it'll take you a long time to realize, oh shit, I'm actually overtraining now. So when you overtrain, you'll think to yourself, I don't really feel like training anymore. Like I'm tired, I'm not recovering, I'm still sore, and you'll just be exhausted. That's a sign that you're overtraining. But otherwise, train till failure or as close as you can push to failure. This is what's going to put enough demand on the muscle to actually make it grow. Without training to failure, if you're just going around swinging weights around and just going for the sake of it, you're not putting enough of a demand on your body to actually make it want to change and adapt. Because you're going to think, if you're doing a bicep curl and your body can't lift the weight up, like you go heavy till failure, the next week you come back and do it, you'll be a little bit stronger because the muscle's adapted to picking up that weight. And it just keeps going on and on and on for months and months and years until you essentially grow a mad physique. So you also, this ties into the mindset, like you must train the muscle to failure or close to it to really push. This is not just for physical gains, but it'll work wonders in your mindset, which we'll talk about later. Sleep and recovery. So this is very, very underrated. No one really focuses on the sleep and the recovery, but sleep, think of it like this. Sleep is like a free performance enhancing drug. The more you sleep, it's like a free boost in everything, in testosterone, in recovery, in cognition, in memory. All these things get boosted by the more better quality and the longer you sleep. So obviously this is common knowledge. Ideally you want to sleep at least 8 hours every night. This is not just for repairing damaged muscle tissues, but for hormones, in particular testosterone, memory function, and cognition. It is literally like a free performance enhancing drug, like I just said. And to get better sleep, things can help like taking glycine, that's an amino acid before you sleep, chamomile tea, melatonin. First thing you do in the morning is get early bright sunlight in your eyes. This will set your circadian rhythm, so when you sleep, you'll sleep better and have a larger melatonin release. Red light at nights and blue light blocking glasses. So why I say this is because if you have blue light in your eyes at night, think of it like this. Midday when the sun's at its highest point and the sky's blue, you're seeing that blue wavelength of sunlight coming into your eyes. Now, if it's midnight and you're staring at a screen that's producing blue light, you're tricking your brain into thinking it's still midday. It's like, hey, I'm getting this blue wavelength of light in my eyes. This is affecting my ocular nervous system. Now it's like, oh, I can't sleep now. I'm going to be up all night because my brain essentially thinks it's daytime and I'm not going to actually release enough melatonin to put me to sleep. This is why using red lights or red-orange lights in the night is much better because we've evolutionary adapted to using red light at night from when we were cavemen, if you want to call it that, and we had a campfire as essentially our way of navigating the night. We'd use, fire torches and campfire. And that's why that red light is okay in our eyes rather than blue light is not. Magnesium, in particular, magnesium bisglycinate or bisglycinate, however you want to say it. Meditation is underrated. No one wants to like I see this with so many lifters and trainers, like they train, but like hardly any of them actually meditate. Meditation is such an underrated tool to be able to clear your mind, relieve stress, and actually train. Focus on the task at hand and be present in the moment. Stop overthinking while you're training. You're going to be thinking of like, what do I have to do at work? What am I going to cook for dinner? Like when you're at the gym, just focus on training. So we've got reading is really good at night. It will put you to sleep. No screens, after sunset, ideally, but it's hard with our modern society. We usually like looking at, movies, laptops, phones, all this stuff. So, if possible, try to avoid screen usage. And if you do, use blue light blocking glasses. And if you can, turn off the Wi-Fi at nighttime. It's going to stop some EMFs and radiation actually impacting your body. There are some studies done on this, and they actually put a plant, one on top of a Wi-Fi router and one away from the Wi-Fi router. And the plant away from the Wi-Fi router actually grew a lot healthier and quicker than the plant that was situated on top of the Wi-Fi router because of the EMFs and the radiation that the Wi-Fi was putting out. So tracking sleep is crucial to see exactly where you're at, and if you're getting an improvement, then you can feel the real world benefits from this. Tracking everything, I like to track everything initially in my life to see sleep, finances, gym, macros, and then once things kind of become intuitive, you no longer have to track as precisely. I find anyway, you can continue to track forever you like, but that's for me personally. I use an Apple Watch to track my sleep. I don't track it every night. I might track for 2-3 days, and I know how I'm feeling. Then I'm good. Then I might check it up in another month or so, just because I don't actually like sleeping with a watch or things on my body. But for that period, I do wear an Apple Watch. Whoop or whatever is another good sleep tracker. There are a heap of good ones out there. I think the Aura Ring 2 is pretty decent, but definitely track your sleep and notice the more deep and REM sleep you get, you'll feel a difference in your performance in the gym, in your memory, in your cognition. Sleep is a superpower. So another form of recovery we can use is saunas are great. So saunas, if you do 2 times a week at around 20-minute sessions, this can boost growth hormone massively, up to around 500%. So obviously correct nutrition, not overstressing yourself and spiking the cortisol are going to be great for recovery too, because cortisol and testosterone work hand in hand. The higher your cortisol goes, the lower your testosterone is going to drop. If you have high testosterone, you can have lower cortisol, or you will have lower cortisol. So be mindful of that when you're wanting to recover quicker. Do not stress yourself out and lack on sleep and stay up all night trying to work on your laptop, because you're not going to recover. Cold showers. So this is a big thing. Now, I guess it's popular. Cold showers are a big no after training, as this actually takes blood away from the muscles. So imagine you've gone really hard at the gym and you've put all these micro tears in your muscles. The body sends blood, and essentially the muscle gets inflamed, it gets a pump, and the body sends blood to the muscle and oxygen, and in the blood it carries nutrients. So this nutrients is actually going to start repairing the muscle. So if you jump straight in a cold shower, it's going to shuttle all the blood out with nutrients away from the muscle, and it's actually going to take longer for the muscle to repair. So having properly regulated hormones like testosterone will also vastly help your recovery. And make sure you're drinking enough water as well, at least 2 to 3 liters a day of mineralized water. Tap water is no good. The fluoride, the chlorine, the chemicals in it are not good for your gut health, your gut microbiome, even your cognition. I just steer away from that and have some mineral water, or just get spring water. You can re-mineralize it with Celtic salt. And I found recently, towards the end of my, transformational journey, that stretching is also really good for long-term improvements, and it will prevent injuries. So if you get injured, that's going to be the biggest setback for you for actually making progress in the gym, because you can't do anything once you're injured. So the best thing you can do here is actually prevent injury initially. And then you can train until your heart's content. So hormones. Now we start to get interesting. Hormones are often overlooked when people take on transformations. It has become more apparent now, especially in young men, that the average testosterone level has dropped by around 50% in the last 40 to 50 years. This has been all data that's been recorded. Basically, since the introduction to a lot of these endocrine disruptors, things like microplastics, parabens, phthalates, EMFs, radiation, poor sleep, screen usage at night, excess stress from pressures of modern society, crappy diets, and a whole cocktail of other factors destroying your hormones, and in particular destroying testosterone. So low testosterone is going to make you feel tired all the time. It's going to make you irritable, and it's going to be hard for you to gain muscle or to lose fat. It's going to feel like you've got no motivation or very low motivation to get up and actually do the hard things. And you're going to have like low sex drive and no morning wood. Obviously, you know what that is. And timid or lacking confidence. So having high testosterone, it essentially makes doing hard work enjoyable. You'll actually like to do hard things. It makes effort feel good. It makes effort feel rewarding, because this ties back into your dopamine response, dopaminergic response. So having low testosterone for a day, as an example, will not affect your life greatly. But if you're living with this for many years, you're essentially stunting muscle growth, and you will not feel motivated to train. And you'll essentially feel like you're overtraining all the time. You'll constantly feel burnt out. You'll constantly feel stressed. The higher your testosterone levels are, the more you're able to deal with stress, the more you're able to take on your plate. You know, low testosterone has a whole cascade of negative effects. And this is probably one of the most important things to address in your life now, if you're a young man. Now, imagine this spread out over the next 5 to 10 years, and the gains you could have made if your levels were optimal, let alone the different mindset you would have had, the risks you would have taken, and the connections you would have made. You would be in a completely different place in your life. And this is where I see the impacts of high testosterone are more than physical. They're essentially for mental health. So think of it like you have a business or you've got a career, and you have low testosterone, and you've essentially lived this life for 10 years. Look where you're going to end up. Now imagine the same version of you, but with high testosterone, the risks you'll take, the confidence you'll have, the networks you'll make, the connections you'll make. Now extrapolate this data over 10 years and see the different points of where you're going to end up. You'll like literally be a completely different person. Mindset, physically wise, spiritually, everything affects you. I guess testosterone affects all of that stuff. There is a whole lot that can be done to increase testosterone, but this would be like, it needs a whole video in itself, essentially. The very, very surface level basic stuff you can look at, which you probably know a lot of this already, is you need 8 hours of sleep minimum. Eat enough healthy fats to convert to testosterone. So healthy fats are good. The fats from basically steak, eggs, butter, olive oil, things like that. Reduce your stress and cortisol, because like I mentioned, your cortisol goes down, testosterone will go up. They work pretty much inversely with each other. Eat foods rich in zinc and minerals. Oysters, Brazil nuts, red onions are very good for this. Supplementation like boron and Tongat Ali can work to a certain extent. Full body sun exposure. This is underrated. So there was an experiment done, I think in the 1940s. I don't know how accurate this data was, but essentially it showed men that were full body sun exposure, including their balls, and they had 200% increase in testosterone. That was massive. So I don't know how much that correlates to the real world. But there is obviously benefits to full body sun exposure, because then you're going to get more vitamin D, and then the vitamin D is going to support testosterone too. So sun exposure will, I guess, form multiple pathways to increasing your testosterone. So stress and load placed on muscles. So you're going to put a demand on your muscles, like weight training or combat sports. And this is going to make you produce more testosterone too, because you're activating all these muscles. You're going to, I guess, your brain's going to produce more luteinizing hormone, which is that's a hormone from your pituitary gland that's going to send down to your testicles, and that's going to excite the Leydig cells, and then you're going to produce more testosterone. Another thing that's, I guess, uncommon is cold approaching women and interacting with women if you're a guy. Or if you're, I guess this is more aimed towards guys, so I'm just going to focus on that. So cold approaching women or being around women in a competitive environment, this is going to give you a spike in testosterone too, because you're going to think like, oh, I need to win. I need to like get this girl. You want a potential to, I guess, procreate with this girl, if you want to call it that. And your body's going to give you like a biological advantage to get the girl. And also use cotton or linen clothing, bed sheets. Avoid like polyester clothing, as those microplastics will absorb into your skin. Especially if you're sleeping in, nylon or polyester bed sheets, you're in that for 8 hours plus a night. That's not going to be good for your health. So I emphasize a lot of my lifestyle around increasing testosterone. That's probably where I felt the biggest benefit in my entire life, through testosterone and improving and optimizing my testosterone. Now, mindset. This is the most important part of the journey. If you've made it this far in the video, congratulations. Now here comes the real value. All of this is going to tie together now. I don't know if you're aware of what Stoicism is, but you must embrace Stoicism. What this is, for example, Just say you had a plan. Just say you had a plan to go out, and it started raining. You're not going to let the rain make you upset. You're going to observe these emotions. You're going to accept them, but then you're going to move on, and you're all going to realize you're purely in control of your mind. Nothing is going to control your mental state except you. So approach everything with that situation, with that mindset. So just say you're at the gym and you get injured. It's not the end of the world. You got to approach it from a stoic's perspective, and think, okay, now I'm injured. I have to take a bit of time out from the gym. I can use this time to upgrade my knowledge. I can learn more about the body, or I can learn more about dieting or testosterone. There's always, a silver lining to everything, and understand that and embrace stoicism. The change must shift internally first, and then it'll be expressed externally. So if you're in your mind, if you're overweight or if you're skinny or whatever, and you identify as a skinny person, and in your mind you always think you're skinny, no matter how much you try to stick with a diet or a training plan, it's going to be extremely hard for you to actually see this through. Because in your mind, that's all you believe you are. All change and all ideas first start off in the mind. And understand this, and also grasp the idea that, like, the mind is where you plant the seed. The mind is where you plant the seed of transformation. And in your mind, if you want to be, jacked, ripped, shredded, whatever, lose fat, gain muscle, you have to literally think in your mind and envision how you want to look as if you already are there. Your identity must literally change. You must identify with this new shredded person, and you must act and behave like this. And then that's going to tell your subconscious mind, hey, this is who I am now. I'm going to choose to eat this food instead of junk food. I'm going to choose to eat a steak instead of fried chicken or whatever. When you identify with that new reality or that new identity of who you are, things will become a lot easier because your subconscious mind will be on board with all of this. And I find visualization helped me massively. Like, this is underrated too. Visualize yourself standing in the mirror with your dream physique. Literally stand there and look at it. Like, I did this for, I reckon every single day, or every time I had a shower, I'd stand in the mirror first and I'd look at myself and I'd be like, damn, I want to look like this. And I'd just like put my head on like a body that I'd want. Like, in my mind, I could just look in the mirror, close my eyes, and then just visualize it. And this literally came to fruition. It took like a few years of training and dieting and whatever, but it got there like 100%. It came about. And I guess if you want to call this like manifested it or whatever word you want to attach to it, this stuff works. Like, visualization works, and it keeps you on your goal and on your path. And every time you stray off your path, you revisualize this and you go, hey, these inputs I'm putting in now aren't actually serving me. They're not bringing me towards my visualization, towards my goal. Now I'm going to go back and visualize again, and it's going to reinforce these positive habits that you've just learned in this video about dieting, training, nutrition, sleeping, all that stuff is going to come back fresh in your mind again. If you want, save this video and just keep it there, and then you can rewatch it if you get lost on any of these points, because there is a fair bit that was covered. But without talking too much, let's go back and continue on. As I said here, program your subconscious mind, and this will make the whole journey 10 times easier, literally. Believe you already have the results, and so it will be. You're in control of your destiny and no one else. This may seem harsh because you can't blame anyone for your current state or for your failures or for being fat and overweight or being skinny or being whatever. But you also now have the complete power to change your current state. When you realize you're in complete control, you're in the driver's seat, you can't blame no one, but you're like, damn, I can actually do something about this now. And then you'll start, training more. You'll start dieting properly. You'll start tracking your macros. You'll start tracking your sleep. You'll start interacting right. Like, you'll do things to increase your testosterone because you realize you can control all these inputs and variables. And then that's going to give you a complete different output. And if, this ties back into testosterone again now. So if you're struggling with low testosterone, or you think you have low testosterone, this will definitely make the mindset part a lot harder, as it's genuinely difficult to be successful and win with low testosterone, as it plays a part in your dopamine receptors too. It's harder to build habits, it's harder to get motivated and to stay disciplined, and it's harder to do hard things with low testosterone. So, thank you for watching this. I hope you learned something. So I also do one-on-one coaching and mentoring, which is a lot more in-depth than what I covered here. The framework set out here will essentially give you great results. But if you want to fast-track your progress and work with me one-on-one to optimize all these areas of your life, and I go a lot more into testosterone and mindset in my mentoring and coaching, just to give you a rough idea. But yeah, it's a very holistic approach to transforming not just your physique, but your mindset, and then that will change your life. So you can contact me, I guess, via Instagram. If you don't have Instagram, comment on the video because I haven't got no other way yet. Reach out, and I'll reach out through the comments. That's my Instagram on the screen, just jake.racc. And then I'm currently in the process of building a school community, I guess, which is going to embody like training, stoicism, spirituality, and true holistic health. So I hope you found this video well, and thanks for watching it all.